Okay, can you hear me now? Are you able to hear me now? Can you hear me now? Anything now? Ah, okay. I was getting a bit worried there. All right, fantastic. Welcome, 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 everyone. It is, I don't know, Freedom Announcement Day, Independence Day. Well, I kind of feel like there's 2 days that we mark, I guess. There's today, which was 2 years ago today, that Harry and Meghan announced that they were stepping down. And then I think it's March 31st. That was the official day that they stepped down. And then 1 year later, the 1 year review. So I guess today is like Freedom Announcement Day, Independence Day. And then the actual Freedom Day is March 31st. But I thought it would be a nice, positive chat to take a stroll down memory lane and see where we've come from there and reflect on that day because wow, what a day it was. And welcome, welcome everyone if you're just joining us. And it all started with the announcement of the transition. And my thing about all of this is I feel like Harry and Meghan made it very, very clear, strikingly clear, what their intentions were, why they were doing what they were doing. And it's like the British press and the critics wanted to make it into such, I mean, they were always going to make it into such a circus, but wanted to twist every word, wanted to make it look like, you know, like it wasn't clear what their intentions were. We are stepping down as senior working royals. We will no longer take money from the British taxpayer. We will be independent in the way we make money, and we still very much want to represent the institution, and we will still support the Queen if called upon. But neither the press or the institution wanted that, and so Harry and Meghan had to just say goodbye completely because originally, as we know, they wanted a half in, half out situation, which is what, to be honest, a lot of royals around the world have. A lot of them make money independently, and so therefore um, don't have to take so much taxpayer money. And I think that is the future of most monarchies, that you're going to end up with a situation where they have a very, very small fund or maybe just a fund for security. But one of the things that we know really, really ticked the British press off about was the fact that they were no longer going to be working with the Royal Rota. They were no longer going to be working with the Royal Rota. And the thing is, the the British press and the Royal Rota, when this announcement came out, and one of the sections, Harry and Meghan made it very, very clear that they were going to be no longer working within the Rota system. They went on this huge tantrum, this huge rant about how it was against freedom of speech, and yeah, like how it was against freedom of speech, which, if you think about it, really is just so ridiculous because the whole royal rota system itself limits freedom of speech because you have individuals who are basically propaganda mouthpieces for the palace and the firm. So the fact that they would even suggest that Harry and Meghan coming away from them is, somehow going against freedom of speech is just hilarious. Um, and the relationship between the royals and the royal rota and the reporters, not only is it incredibly abusive, to be honest, and very manipulative, very backstabby. I can't imagine having to just like constantly walk on eggshells around these people and constantly having to give yourself up to this, even give up the children. That's something that Kate and William have had to do in order to get positive press or to deflect from bad press. But not only is the relationship incredibly abusive, um, but it only really benefits the royal rota. It benefits them because of the clicks, it benefits them because of the stories, it benefits them because of the pictures that they get. And so to see members of the rota, sorry, let me put up a much nicer picture. To see members of the rota constantly try to, sing this swan song of, Harry and Meghan were, they're taking away from the public by not, showing Archie. This was a whole damn segment in the Prince and the Press BBC documentary about, how they never got to see Archie, and I mean, they never got to see another person's baby, a baby that a woman just pushed out, so give her 2 minutes to breathe. And it's so the beneficiaries are only them. It doesn't benefit the public at all, because the public, for the most part, other than like the hardline royalists, um, they really just don't care. I really don't think that they care. I think the royal family, for the average British person, is just, it's like background music that you leave on very, very low. And whenever there's a big, say a wedding, um, any other time they don't really care about. So it was just really interesting to see the way the British press and the royal rodents, the rota, reacted, because let's be honest, they have lost out the most from Harry and Meghan leaving. It's them. These pictures that you're seeing on the screen right now, that's what they're missing. That's what they want, that magic that the other members of the royal family cannot provide. And that is why they knew from the time that announcement came out, they knew it was darn near game over. Okay. I'm gonna go to some of your comments. Sorry. I have to scroll up a little bit. Um, yes, Catherine, thank God they rejected the deal. Harry's family is free from that stress, happily under a tree. Yes, happily under a Californian coconut tree. um, let's have a look at what some of you. Hello. If you're just joining the chat, thank you for joining. Da, da, da. Did they it is against freedom of speech. I'm not sure if they were correct because they wanted unlimited access to Meghan and Harry. Yeah, they wanted unlimited access to Meghan and Harry, but it's not against freedom of speech because they're still free to talk about the Sussexes. They talk about them every minute of the day, hundreds of thousands of articles about Meghan in particular. So they're still free to talk about Harry and Meghan. They just don't have the access that they want to make the money that they want. Because at the end of the day, that's what it's about. It's about the money. Um, yes, so mods, if you don't mind, just watch because I think I've spotted a troll or two. Yes, Joanne, freedom of speech and access to someone are two different things. It's apples and oranges. Exactly. Pearl, they are happy to make money off Meghan, but tells her to go to work. Exactly. And yeah, the royal family is poorer. They're poorer in terms of outreach and sorry, the reach that they get, and they're poorer in terms of character. I mean, let's be honest, Harry and Meghan were the only two people in that in that clan with any character. Yeah, the rodents do not deserve a photo of Archie or Lilibet, Diana, because they put that chimpanzee photo before Archie was born. And Meghan will not allow them to make money off their children. Exactly. And they don't need their children to make money or get attention. They have enough talents, they have enough business smarts to be able to do that. And there's nothing that they're hiding that they need to use their children as shields for. Piers Morgan now has a new platform with Murdoch, and he's planning on coming for Meghan to destroy her. Yeah, I think he has like a new column for the Sun, and of course, Meghan is the first person who's come out of his mouth. But we all know that there's a court case coming up, and he's trying so hard to deflect. His skeleton, he's got so many skeletons in his closet. That man, his time is coming. So don't you worry about that, because at the end of the day, Meghan has not mentioned this man once, and the more he comes for her, the more ridiculous he looks. The more ridiculous he makes the British press look. And there's going to be, I keep on saying this, there's going to be that American journalist, like a Ronan Farrow type, who will come after Murdoch, who will come after Rothermere, and who will come after the whole British establishment and press system, because they have made themselves the story now. Right? They have made themselves the story. And that's what it's like. The number one rule of journalism is you don't make yourself the story. Otherwise, other journalists can come after you. So they will get their comeuppance. Cookies and cream, the unroyal family's attempt to destroy the Sussexes backfired. Meghan and Harry's success is driving them ballistic. There is no more access to them whatsoever. Exactly. There's no access. And they have no control. They never had control. They tried to create a narrative where they had control. I mean, I remember, we'll talk about this a bit later, but when a lot of the deals were being announced, there was all of these, articles about, Harry and Meghan will have to consult the royal lawyers, and, that they're going to need help with the contracts. How are they going to do contracts without help from the royal lawyers? And I'm just like, Harry had a organization when he was 19. That's when he started Santa Ballet. Meghan has been in Hollywood for 10 years. You think that a woman who's been in Hollywood for 10 years doesn't know how to handle a contract, or doesn't know how to pick up a phone and call a lawyer and handle that contract for her? Yeah. So, yeah, there was the reaction of the Royal Rota. They went completely ballistic. And there were all of these there were all of these reports about um with very I struggle to even say it, with very, very tacky headlines about um, Harry making car crash decisions. The decision he's making to leave is a car crash. I mean, I don't know if some of you remembered. Please do say in the chat if you remember that. Very, very just nasty language, and very, very obviously chosen language, almost like a threat. And I don't know what made them think that the more they went after Harry and Meghan, especially Meghan, that would make Harry want to come back. Like, you're going after his wife. And literally, I still do believe that the institution believed that Harry was some lovesick puppy, that even after he married her, he was just lost in lust, and that he would, as Piers Morgan said, these are his words, not mine, marry the blonde, dumb conservative that his brother or father, whatever, wanted him to marry. I mean, those are the words that Piers Morgan used. Absolutely vile and disgusting. First of all, to talk about any woman of any race or color in that manner, but then to just make it so obvious that you're saying that in a way to also demean Meghan because she doesn't fit that type. And I don't know, I don't know what made them think that then going after Meghan was going to make him come back. So there was all of that drama. Let me just go back to your comments. Yeah, Robin. People who have never managed millions of dollars given the Sussexes financial advice. It's just pathetic. Lavender, they're worried about their bottom line, and they should be worried about their bottom line. They should be worried about the bottom line, not only because they've lost access to the Sussexes, but because the Sussexes are not afraid to go after them. And Diane, Harry's decision was not impulsive, but rather carefully considered, and that's something the firm has zero idea how to negotiate. And you know, I people who claim to know Harry but were shocked that he left never knew Harry. Okay, there is a quite a famous clip. If you're around the Sussex circles, you've probably seen it, where Harry is literally on the front line. He is on the front line in Afghanistan fighting for his country. And he says the words, I don't even like England very much. And of course, I don't think he's referring to England specifically. I think what he's referring to is the press and the culture that the press create in England. So for him to be saying that while on the front line, fighting for his country, it shows you that this particular part of the culture there, that the culture that the press creates, really was upsetting to him and traumatizing to him, and it would be because it's the culture that killed his mum. So I always saw, and I think anybody who was paying attention always saw and always knew that Harry would leave. This was not a shock for me personally. Anyway, I won't speak for everyone. It was never a shock for me that Harry was going to leave. I think what was a shock for me was how Meghan was treated and the circumstances under which they had to leave. But the fact that they left wasn't a surprise. Not to anybody paying attention. Not a surprise at all. Let's go back to your comments. Harry is a strategist. He was in the military and he knows how they operate. So the Sussexes will always be ahead of them and leave them with eggs on their collective faces. Exactly. And, I think something else that really gets on their nerves is they know that the very independent-minded, career woman, feminist, strong-minded, strong-willed woman is the type of woman that Harry needed to leave that institution. He would not have been able to leave the institution and fend for himself with a pretty little aristo girl who was just groomed to marry a rich guy. Harry would not survive in the real world with that type of woman because that type of woman can't even survive in the real world herself. She is groomed to be someone's wife. And I think that's what ticks them off even more. Yes, Myra, they are getting Pierce in place to bully the Sussex couple because Harry's hacking case is next against the Sun, which is owned by Rupert Murdoch. Exactly. And you would think that the Sun and Rupert Murdoch would actually back off, having seen what's happened with Rothermere and the Daily Mail. You'd think they'd back off, but they're actually going full speed ahead, giving him a whole entire column. I don't know what's wrong with them. They're crazy. What shocks me to this day is how petty the British media people are. I mean, some of the things they push out there are just ridiculous. Exactly. I mean, I wish I had the screenshot now, but I cannot forget that infamous headline of what was it? Princess Charlotte's face being seen in Meghan Markle's knees. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Robin Rogers, does Murdoch still own the Sun? I believe that the Sun is still under News Corp, which Murdoch owns. If I'm not mistaken, somebody please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's how it is. Yes, Diane, the firm was so out of touch that they did not recognize the value of the Sussexes. To understand they weren't operating out of desperation, but rather skills and influence. Exactly. Oh, thank you so much, Noreen Lovelock. Thank you. Thank you for that. Hope you're well, hun. Thank you for your super chat. I never believed in the existence of witches and witchcraft. But both the UK media and the leakers from the palace are witches. Why should H&M use their lawyers and physicians? Exactly. They are actual witches. And actually that's an insult to witches. Let's not play the witches like that. They're not all bad. There's some very nice witches out there, I'm sure. Um, let's have a look at some of your comments before we move on to the next thing. Joan, they think that using the Queen as a threat against Harry would make him return. Not happening. Harry may love his grandma, but he loves his wife and children more. Exactly. And when he made those vows in front of the whole world, he made those vows to protect and provide for his children. And I think that he is the only Windsor man in the whole of the history of the Windsor family um, who is going to keep his vows. I don't doubt for a second that Harry won't keep his vows. He will keep those vows. Okay, so let's move on to the next thing, and the next thing is them, Harry and Meghan, doing their farewell tour, giving us all of the magic, and I think just really rubbing it in, how much the press and how much Britain were going to miss them, this magic. And it was just like, bye, see you later. And the next thing that kind of came out, or the next kind of like barrage of articles was the whole idea that Harry and Meghan would be struggling. This is what they thought Harry at McDonald's. I mean, do you really think that that was what was going to happen? And also, how insulting to this just shows Britain's classism. How insulting to people that work jobs like this to somehow say that this is a bad thing, or to use this image as an image of failure, right? So this is what they thought. This is what they thought the Sussexes would end up doing, and how on earth can you think that this woman, UN woman, UN spokesperson, out here giving speeches? How do you think that this woman, who had a whole life, 3 million followers strong on Instagram, a whole blog, a whole team, how on earth would you think that this woman would end up flipping burgers in McDonald's? Again, nothing wrong with flipping burgers in McDonald's. It's an honest job. But how would you think that this is where they would end up? How and why? They continue to push that narrative because they knew from the time that they left, they had no control. Denise, they keep running that art trial only made 50K or no pandemic, which is great concerning that it had been open 4 months. Exactly. So, how much were they expecting it to make? And, that I also wonder, what does that 50K even represent? Does it represent donations made from other people? Because does it, obviously Harry and Meghan have their own money. I mean, I don't know how running a foundation works, but Harry and Meghan have their own money that they are probably going to pump into the foundation as well. So I'd also be just curious if at all that 50K is a correct number, or I don't know where they got that money from, the financials that were released. But that's not necessarily representative of what Art Trial are doing on a wider scale, because I mean, Harry and Meghan, they matched our donations to CampFed, for example. So yeah, I wouldn't pay attention to things like that. Robin, we should weaken the negative wing if squaddies stay off the tabloid links. They feed off our comments. Exactly, they do. And I do think this is another thing that we need to consider going forward in 2022. Just making sure that it's not that we shouldn't react to anything completely. I do think that sometimes it is warranted, but when it is just such obvious clickbait, it's just like, come on, like, well, there was all those articles about Megan dressing like a millennial billionaire. Like, like I didn't know millennial billionaire was an aesthetic. How many millennial billionaires are there? Megan and Harry searching for a new house. Megan and Harry putting Archie in a particular school so he can learn emotional intelligence. That kind of nonsense. Like, that is the type of stuff that we just need to ignore. We need to ignore those type of things. Like, when it's so obviously in your face clickbait, just don't bother. I think if it's a lot more serious stuff, like, for example, William saying that Africans should have less babies, then yeah, like, rip that person to pieces. Or for example, the other day when Richard Eden, and I think I actually tweeted about this, Richard Eden tried it and basically got William dragged. But going forward now, I see no reason to give Richard Eden any attention. Like, we gave him all the attention he wanted, and William got dragged, rightfully so. So, like, what more attention does he need? So yeah, I think we do need to just pick and choose our battles a lot more carefully. Sometimes there is a reason to go to battle and it needs to happen. But not all the time. Lily, please show your subscribers how to link up their Amazon accounts to benefit Archwell. Okay, I will maybe put that somewhere on the Duchess of Success website. But maybe just try and like Google Archwell Amazon or something like that. But I'll thank you for mentioning that. I will remember it and try to put it on the Duchess of Success website. Tina and Michelle spoke against dealing with clickbait for years. Exactly. Exactly. We need to start showing more restraint. The US Air Force just signed a contract with Better Up. Oh, that's amazing. Thank you for letting me know, Beverly. I'll put that in the Sussex news roundup. Thanks for that. See what else you're saying. Dolores, for one thing, Diana never had the backing Harry and Meghan have and the outreach we have exactly. And how amazing is it that we have the platforms that we do? And something else that I actually tweeted out the other day was that the Sussex Squad are the new royal reporters. I consider myself a royal reporter. We now help to control the narrative. And I think that's amazing that we've created all these platforms and we've created a fan base where we can also speak. And literally, I don't see the only difference between myself and somebody like Camilla Tominey is, number one, I'm not a liar, and number two, I don't get paid for a tabloid. Sorry, I don't get paid by a tabloid, so I can say what I want, and I don't have to twist the truth. But I believe that we are now also royal reporters. Okay, on to the next thing. Okay, so we have left, or we've announced that we're leaving, and we spent some time in Canada, and then we spent some time in Tyler Perry's house for a little bit. And then we moved to this beautiful home in Montecito. And this is where they really, really, really went mad. Because this compared to this and this, this swamp, this damp swamp, you can't compare. Okay? This is what we're rolling now. This beautiful Mediterranean themed, in the Californian sunshine, stunning home. And this again is where they try to spin this narrative of how are Harry and Meghan going to afford it? I mean, can somebody just remind me, actually, I've forgotten. Did they announce the Netflix deal was announced after we found out they moved, right? It was after, not before. Somebody please block Joan Miller. Thank you, mods. Yeah, Dicky Donkey Sanctuary Arbiter, mad as hell. Thank you, mods. Just watch the chat for me because I have to multitask and I can't always see what people are doing. you so much, Janet Lavali. Janet Lavali, thank you so much for your super chat, darling. Um, hang on a sec. And the press acted as if they don't know how mortgages work, how they don't know how money works. Um, you don't have to pay for a house all at once, y'all. Like there are mortgages, and you know, with Harry and Meghan's background, if I was a bank or if I was a mortgage broker, and Harry and Meghan came to me, that they're good for the money, you know. So even if they didn't have those contracts signed and ready at the time, they're good for the money. So I don't know where all of this playing dumb, how they're going to pay for it, how they're going to pay for their expensive lifestyle. I don't know where um all that nonsense came from. But again, they have to spin this narrative, right? Um, Catherine, yes, they lived there 2 months before we found out. Mm, Lavender, from a graveyard to paradise. Exactly. Literally, that place looks like you could stick some tombstones and they would fit right in. I mean, you just can't compare the two. Um, Absolutely fabulous home. That other place looked like a mental hospital. It did look nasty indeed. Um, oh yes, every Karen, every Ken got lit when they heard we moved into a house, not rented, purchased, tight security, 16 bathrooms. Is it 16? Or is it not 26, 34, 500? And room for chickens, dogs, and a pony or two. or a donkey. According to Dickie Arbiter, they have donkeys. Um, mm, and yeah, so now we're living in Montecito, in a Montecito home, very, 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 very comfortable. And actually, just to go back a little bit, even before um, they moved into this home, when they were still in Tyler Perry's house, the Sussexes were still working. We saw some of these appearances, um, these online appearances with different media. I believe this one, if I remember correctly, was with Fortune. This particular appearance stood out to me because I do remember this is one of the first times since from after they left where Meghan actually addressed her critics. And I remember she said it was something along the lines of, "There's nothing that I've said that's controversial." And there was just something in her voice that made me realize like she's got her voice back, she's got her confidence back, and just look at how fresh she looks. There were so many amazing appearances. There was this one with the 19th. So again, riding on what they said in their initial statement when they were leaving, working with other progressive media companies. And the 19th definitely is one of those progressive, very far kind of left-leaning um, news organizations, and they grew quite quickly, especially at the start, because of the event, the online event that they had with Meghan and several other speakers. I remember this one quite well. So the Sussexes just moved up and moved on. They started to, there were things like this, getting involved in the community. And what I always bear in mind with these things is it's it's not or it's not just what we're seeing, it's what we're not seeing. What we're seeing from the Sussexes is just the tip of the iceberg. There's so many things that I'm sure that they do behind the scenes that we don't know about and that we might never know about. If they're getting involved in investing, well, the more you have to invest, yes, the more you have to lose. But if you have good financial advisors, which I'm sure they do, that they're going to make a fortune just off of of their investments alone. That's probably going to make up a whole lot more of their fortune than just their active work. So there's so many different branches. There's so many different things that they've done since investing with Epic, VC investing. You know, Megan's got Clever Blends, and I'm sure there's other um, companies that they're looking at investing in as VCs as well. So we don't have to worry about the Sussex's pockets. Well, we know that the British press do, but we don't. Let's see your comments. Mm. Yeah, people were mad that she had a nice house. I mean, what were they expecting? Like Harry and Meghan are gonna, they're they're gonna live on Skid Row? Like, no, that's just not gonna happen. Um, Lydia, do content creators have interactions with each other? Um, Not really, if I'm honest. I mean, I always try to schedule things like way ahead of time to give other people, but um, to be honest, I would never want someone else to not schedule at a time that's comfortable for them, just because I'm on, because everybody has different things in their lives going on, so perhaps that's the only time that they can come on, and I don't want them to feel like, oh, they can't come on just because I'm on. And you can always like watch the replay, guys. Like, um I'm just here for Harry and Meghan. If you're not here and alive, like, I'm not going to be bothered. I'm not going to be offended just because you're not here, because I know that you have your own lives as well. So just let everybody come on when they want to come on, and then we can always catch up after. Okay. Um. Yeah, and they're still mad, and I don't know what they're mad about. But I do know what they're mad about, because if you think about it, the Sussexes doing what they've done, it is a huge threat to the monarchy. It's one of the biggest threats to the monarchy, that the monarchy has ever faced. Because automatically people started asking, well, hang on a minute, if these two can go off and live by themselves and make money, well, why can't the others? Why are we paying for all of this pomp and pageantry? I missed the comment, but I saw somebody mentioning about the Jubilee, especially after the people of the United Kingdom have been through so much. And I've said this in videos before. I'm telling you now, come the Jubilee, especially with all this stuff with Andrew, there will not be, well, you have the dumb royalists that were lining up the streets, but you probably have protesters lining up the streets also. Because how can you have this big pomp and pageantry parade when British people have been suffering for the last 2 years, like most other people in other countries, because of the pandemic, businesses shutting down because of lockdowns, kids not being in school, um, and then you want to have a big parade? How? I mean, read the damn room. So I can see the Jubilee. Oh, and then obviously all of this with Andrew, people are losing their patience with them. So I I just think personally they should cancel the Jubilee, or make it all about the people of Britain. Don't even make it about the Queen. Um, See, Carol, Elephants by Disney, which Meghan was the narrator for. She had no fee. She asked for donation to Elephants Without Borders. Harry won his case, which was regarding his military checked in victors. Yeah, so many wins. So many wins since we left. Mm. Mods, just watch the comment section, please, because I can see some haters. Some haters have come into the chat to give me more revenue. Thank you so much. I'll be able to buy a better microphone to make better podcasts for Harry and Meghan. Thank you. um, the British tabloids and crazies even tried to get the Sussex squad shut down for exposing the truth. Exactly. And they failed. And you know why they failed? Because the Sussex squad does not have um one clear leader. It's a very eclectic, very spread out community. I mean, when um, Prince William's shenanigans started trending the other day, it was trending in Jamaica, it was trending in South Africa. So they need to stop with this imaginary game that they can control the narrative. They can control the narrative in the mainstream press on this island. They can't control it anywhere else. Mm. Lit Lane, I'm allergic to Dicky, Camilla Tomlin, and the rest of the weirdos that are not on medication for that. You shady, but it's true. There is no lie in what you said. Yeah, their chronic illness is jealousy. Harry and Meghan are a couple who work together to achieve exactly. Harry and Meghan are just listen, they are the blueprint for what a healthy, collaborative, modern couple should be. Two people working together and collaborating. That is what a healthy, modern relationship should be. But the people in those crusty, dusty castles, they don't know what that is because they're just living with dysfunction. Mm, just read a couple more of your comments before we moved on. Yeah, J-Law, no one even acknowledged what Meghan went through. They just kept on hating. And they still haven't acknowledged it. They just think that staying silent and it's all going to go away. But the Sussex squad just scream louder and people are starting to catch on. Yeah, Meghan had a nice home before she married Robin. Robin, sorry. She didn't come from public housing. She was a self-made woman. Mm. Okay, so let's move on to the next thing I was going to mention was okay, and another part of the rhetoric that they tried to push was of Harry being the henpecked husband, the simp. And please tell me how this man who can fly a Hitachi helicopter, how is he a simp? How is he a henpecked husband? And how is being a gentleman and protecting your family, treating your woman how a man is supposed to treat his woman, being a henpecked husband? That's what being a henpecked husband is to them. And when you look at especially a lot of these royal rodent reporters, especially the women, a lot of them have broken marriages or they come from broken homes. Camilla Tominey's mother was an alcoholic. Angela Levin's mother was absolutely horrible. And those are Angela Levin's own words. I'm actually going to do a whole video about this. Sarah Niggling Feeling Vine. She's divorced from Michael Gove. This whole rhetoric of Harry being a henpecked husband. And if this is what being a simp and henpecked husband looks like, then can I please come back as one in my next life? Please. Please, can I come back as a hostage to a woman like this in my next life? Because that is one of the most amazing hostage situations that I have ever seen. Front cover of Times, $1 million home. Let me go back to your comments. Sorry, your comments are coming in so fast. NM goes to show how out of touch the ordinary British citizen the royal family is. Who would think it's appropriate in the current times to engage in that kind of pomp and pageantry? Well, I think it's because a lot of British people still very much see the royal family as part of their identity. So by having all this pomp and pageantry, they attach their identity to that. So it's like, we're able to do all this amazing pomp and pageantry, right? So I don't think a lot of royalists see it as, oh, this is a bit out of touch because of everything that the country's been through. They see it as this is what we're able to pull off this big grand show. And I said before, I am don't think just because I criticize the royal family that I'm not a very patriotic Brit. I am, but I don't think that being a patriot should have to include upholding and uplifting a family that is abusive and harboring, alleged abusers who have been friends with convicted abusers. So being a patriot does not have to include upholding and uplifting this very very shady and corrupt family. Um, Andrew, in England may be headed for another lockdown. The news I heard was the contrary. No, I don't believe that we are. They keep going back and forth about it. Um, Diane, when they try to control our good news, we just make our good news go viral. We trend because we're influential. Exactly. And because our faves are influential. Hello, 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 everyone. If you're just joining, thank you so much for coming. Crystal, Meghan is a strong woman. After what she went through, it's good to know Harry was there to back his woman. Exactly. Harry knows what's up. He knows what's good. You know? J-Law, to them, a man is someone who will step out on his wife at the first opportunity or trade her in for the side piece they've had even before the wedding. Exactly. And that's what they expect from royal men. And why wouldn't they? Because like grandfather, like father, and apparently, allegedly, like son. That's all they've ever expected. And to be honest, even some of the royal women, we know step out. Didn't Anne have an affair? So yeah, that's that. And then we come to, I guess, where we are now. I feel like Harry and Meghan they've truly found their freedom. They're moving on. It's great to see. It's great to see them just getting on with things, and just always remember, just because we don't see the Sussexes doesn't mean they're not doing things. They are very much, they're hard workers. And they don't need to, I didn't want to bring it up, but just to end, if it's just the last little thing that I say, we don't have to put other people down, other women down, like some people we know, right? That article that's going around right now, I find it so funny that for Meghan's birthday, we were celebrating women, we're uplifting women, and people had an issue with that. And now we're coming to this one, the other Duchess's birthday, and what are we doing? We're throwing women under the bus. And not just Meghan, other royal women too. There's an article that's been going around that, takes digs at Princess Charlene, the Spanish, one of the Spanish royals. And for what? Why is it that you have to put other women down to prop yourself up? What is it about you? What are you lacking, girlfriend? What are you lacking? This is what you have to resort to when you haven't built your own. You have to put others down. I'm gonna put this in a news roundup, but there is actually a video that's going around of the Windsor women, Catherine, the Queen, and I think Sophie Wessex, actually not like dismissing, but not acting in the manner that you usually would when you meet a royal from another country. And it was towards the is it the Queen of Spain, I think. Basically, they were at an event and they kind of just bypassed her. They didn't curtsy. They turned their backs to her. it's almost like she wasn't even there, like she was just a commoner. That's basically how they were treating her. So it doesn't surprise me that in this recent article that came out, they're dismissing some of the other royal women from other countries, from Spain and Charlene. I mean, how horrible to come after Charlene in an effort to prop up Kate when Charlene is going through so much. And I've always wondered actually between the royal families, like what the friendships are like. And from what I've seen, a lot of the royal families going up, sorry, on mainland Europe, a lot of them are actually quite close friends. But you never really see that friendship with the Windsors. It's like nobody wants anything to do with these people. But that is the only thing I'm going to say about that, because it's just shameful. Using other women's weaknesses, or bringing other women down to prop yourself up. So I'm just going to go through your comments and then we'll wrap it up, because I don't want today's podcast to be too long. Gwendol, Kate is mad because she lost Harry. She can't lean on him anymore. That's why she's so mad with Meghan. Exactly. But what did they want? Did they want him to be the third Will forever? Dude needed a life as well. Andreen, we are still in a pandemic. I don't think there's going to be a Jubilee. I tell you something. If it means miraculously ending the pandemic like a week before the Jubilee starts, this government will do that. Like, do not doubt how ridiculous this government is. The pandemic will disappear a week before, and we'll have that Jubilee. They will do anything to prop up this institution. Is a mother wait cookies and cream? Okay, I don't understand what that comment says. So Karen, royalists should watch the documentary on YouTube, The Man Who Shouldn't Be King, about Charles and Duchy. Ooh, thank you for mentioning that. I will check that out. What is that about? Has anybody watched that? Comment and let me know what that's about. Is it about the Charles and about the Charles and the Duchy? Okay, let me just write that down. But maybe I'll do a review on that. Well, he shouldn't be king because, I mean, let's be honest, he's not exactly popular. People are still mad about him and Camilla. The royal family is an embarrassment to the world. They are worse than the rest of us. They used to be looked at with such respect. But that's one family I would never be a part of. Well, I mean, I don't even think they've ever really been truly respectable. They've just managed to, for so long, dress themselves in all the pomp and pageantry and fairy tale that has no basis in reality. But thank you for that comment. Mary Katz, what about Charles' connection to Jimmy Savile? Yeah, what about Charles's connection to Jimmy Savile? This is not something that was ever really looked in. And if you go back to a lot of the news articles at the time when the whole Savile thing was happening, the rhetoric was that, Charles was led astray and, he was manipulated. But, they tried to make Charles sound like one of Savile's victims. Like that is how twisted the British media is. Instead of someone who he willingly let into and be close to the royals. And, all these people who at the time were like, oh, we would never have known that Jimmy Savile was a predator. How could we have known? I mean, if you go back to clips of Jimmy Savile, it was so obvious. It was in your face. And the BBC covered it up. And I have no doubt that there was an effort by the royal families to cover it up too, because he was given a knighthood. Let's have a look at some of your other comments. Person original welfare queen is the royal family. Exactly. You can take 300 million or however much is we pay every year to the royal family. But if you're just a struggling family that takes, ordinary British family that takes a couple £100 a month when you're struggling, which many people go through struggles in their lives. Nobody wants to be on benefits. But if you're just a perfectly normal person that finds yourself in a bad situation, you take a couple £100, then you're somehow bad, not the people who live in castles of golden pianos. Um, other comments. Joseph, you don't have to drink the Kool-Aid to be a good UK citizen. Exactly. Exactly. There are so many things for Britain to be proud of. We have great athletes. We have not that we have the weather to enjoy it, but we have some of the most incredible nature um, in our country. You've got coast. I mean, you've got if you're if you're planning on coming to the UK, I think a lot of you probably aren't. But if you want to go a little bit, further out and venture further out than just London, we have amazing coastal islands that have, puffin birds, different species of animals, sea lions. Like there is a lot for this country to actually be proud of, but we seem to just pedestal the worst, and it makes us look horrible. Um, the other comments. Well, I think somebody left a super chat. Oh, thank you, Dara, and also there was somebody else. Was it Castillo? I'm so sorry if I've missed you. But I will do what you guys know what I do by now. Like after we've had a live chat and everybody who's donated to the chat, I put your names up on the community board. So thank you so much if you've donated, and I'm sorry if I've missed you. It's just a bit difficult sometimes to watch the chat and then talk as well. Let me just go through. I'm just going to go through your comments and then wrap it up, guys and dolls. Joyful Spirit, when Harry met Meghan, he won life. Sadly, the United Kingdom mentality is to think on Black people as 50% as less than who they really are. Yeah, it's true. And nobody's going to convince me that um, there was not a racial aspect to um, the way Meghan was treated. And I'm actually going to do a video on this because I feel like there's been a lot of vitriol from some Black people, a little bit more on the American side, I have to say, who feel that Black people shouldn't defend Meghan because she's biracial. And my response to that is that you may see her as biracial, but the institution sees her as Black, and they treated her as such. And the institution see her as a symbol of Blackness, and so therefore she must be stamped out. So to those people who think that Meghan, Black people have no place defending her, we shouldn't defend her, or we shouldn't worry about. We'll talk about what it was that she was subjected to because they see her as biracial only. Yeah, you may only see her as biracial, but the institution and the way they treated her saw her as Black. So for me personally, I don't really get into the argument of is Meghan Black, is she biracial for that reason. Oh, Elaine, Anne had an affair with Timothy Lawrence, who she later married. Okay, thank you very much for that. Archie. Archie's dad has at least 3 jobs, exactly. 3 jobs and investments and tons of disposable income. So Archie and his chickens are fine. Let's go through more of your comments. Angela, honestly, at this point, I'm exhausted with the British press, like the Sussexes. I have moved on from reading any clickbait stuff from them. Even if it seems positive, I just don't click. Yeah, even the honestly, the positive stuff, I definitely don't pay attention to because I know that they're baiting the Sussex squad, so I don't pay attention to that. But if it's something that I feel needs to be talked about, like William saying that Africans just stop having babies, then that's when you'll see me make a video. Mm. The moment you put down another woman in your quest to appear better than you should turn in your ovaries. Yep. Turn in your ovaries, turn in your ovary card. Because honey, what are you putting down another woman for? For what? Mm, Joyce, she's worn herself down. She volunteered to be a doormat in exchange someday for becoming Queen Consort. And at the end of the day, as far as the royal institution is concerned, Kate is just a wound. Like, everybody else wants to see her as a human being, wants to see her um, be, walking in her power. But she chose not. She chose not to. She walked into this institution as a mannequin. I would love to see more personality from Kate. I would love to see more work from her because then it would mean that she wouldn't have to put down Meghan all the time and be so insecure. But that's not the choice that she made, and it's not what the institution wants for women in that institution. Okay, I think I'm almost through with your comments. And go down a little bit more. See who has a nice comment for the last word. Hi everyone, if you're just joining now, sorry we're about to end, but you can watch the replay. Mm. Beverly, I have seen a few articles that have written about something that was said on them. That's interesting. Yeah, they're definitely watching us. And I've seen examples of this also. Angela, if you watch the wedding of H&M, there is a part Harry wipes off his tears. How sweet. Please take a look at how Kate looks at him in disbelief, like, gosh, Meghan is really lucky. Yeah, because I remember back to I actually need to watch Harry and Meghan's wedding again because I think that day I kind of had it on in the background, if I'm honest, but I wasn't like really paying attention. Um, but I remember Kate and William's wedding very, very clearly. And it was like, I don't know, it was just like another day and we're walking through the park. Like you didn't get the sense that this is a man who's like really excited to be married to this woman and really emotional in the way that I think a lot of grooms are. Or at least a lot of modern grooms now that it's okay for men to show their emotions a bit more, which is great. It's like you didn't see that emotion um from William like you saw with Harry. It was just like, oh, gotta do this, because I'm the future king, doing the wifey thing, doing the marriage thing. It was like he wasn't excited at all. And I even wonder, was he already kind of wandering through the rose bushes or lily bushes or coronation bushes or whatever bushes he likes to run through, even then or before then? I don't know. But he definitely was not as emotional as Harry. Mm, okay, let's see. All right, I think that I'm going to wind this down. If anybody wants to have uh, the last words? Mm, let me just scroll down your comments. Thank you everyone for coming today. Just make sure you hit the like button before you go, please. 500 people, amazing. Mm, And oh, Sylvia. Oh, did the Sussex car make the front pages? It wasn't like the whole front page. It was just like the from the front pages that I saw. It was just maybe like in the corner or along the top, and with very snarky headlines as well. But they were on the front pages, just not in that kind of big blow up way that um you would have thought. I think they definitely held back. Um I wouldn't be surprised if the royal family enter the metaverse for relevancy. Well, I hope that if they do enter the metaverse, I hope they stay there. Me personally, I'm not going into the metaverse. I'm not going to the Matrix. I'm staying out here in the real world. So if they want to go into the metaverse, well, they can go in there and they can stay there. Um, Crystal, Harry and Meghan dropped the mic. Boom. Yes, their entire journey, their way to freedom, their the way in which they have handled themselves from the very beginning is a whole damn mic drop. I think that is the best way to describe it, and I think the best way to end this podcast. And with that, I will say thank you so much for everyone for coming today and celebrating this day. We deserve credit too. We have been there. We're out here on these interweb streets, and yeah, let's just keep going, and hopefully we will get some food for our hungry bellies from the Sussexes very very soon. But until then, you guys really enjoyed the Diana's View video. Thank you so much for your feedback on that. I have a couple more videos in that same kind of vein lined up, and I'm also there's a couple of other videos I've got on international royals that I'm working on, and also something else. And you can let me know in the comment section now if you are interested in. I also want to look at ancient royals as well, if that's something you're interested in. A little bit of a history lesson, uh, going back in time and looking at dynasties and royalty a little further back in time as well. So if that sounds in any way interesting, please do let me know in the comment section. But I'm going to play us out with the music. Thank you so, so much for coming. I'm sure there's many more podcasts on today and tomorrow, so definitely go and check them out. Thank you, everybody, for the super chats, and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thank you, as always. Ciao.